है प्रार्थना गुरुदेव से, यह स्वर्ग संसार हम जीवन बने परमात्म में व्यवहार हो। हम रहे अपने लिए, हमको सभी से गुरुदेव यह आशीष दे, जो सोचने का फर्ज है। हम हो पुजारी तत्व के, गुरुदेव के आदेश के, सच प्रेम के प्रेम के, सधर्म के सत्कर्म के, हो झूठी आरती अन्याय की अभिमान की, सेवा को दास की परवाह नहीं हो जाने, छोटे न हो हम बुद्धि से, हो कृष्णमय से ईश्वर में, हो राम में और कृष्ण में, जगदेव में जगदीश में, हर इंद्रियों पर काबू कर, हम वीर हो अति वीर हो, दुश्मन रहे सबसे सदा, निज धर्म रति गंभीर हो, अति शुद्ध हो आचार्य से, तन मन हमारा सर्वदा, अज्ञान की शक्ति हमें हर भी नहीं कर दे खुदा, हमारे आत्मा का हमें हर श्वास भर में कर मोक्ष दिया, सुख दुख हमसे संग। So all the speakers will start with the subject.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Is it go. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Gitansh Bansal and here's my team Harsh and Anushka. We will be discussing the topic obligations and privileges of non-residents under FEMA.
PPT sale.
Is it visible now? Before going into the topic, we should first understand what is FEMA or the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. So, Foreign Exchange Management Act was passed on 29th of December 1999 by the Parliament, replacing their existing Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973. The Act aims at consolidating and amending the laws relating to foreign exchange to facilitate external trade and payments and for promoting the orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange market in India. Basically what happened, एक पुराना एक्ट चल रहा था फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेगुलेशन एक्ट 1973. उसमें कुछ खामियां थी, उसमें कुछ कमियां थी और जैसे जैसे ग्लोबलाइजेशन हो रहा था, इंडिया नीड्स टू ग्रो, इंडिया नीड्स टू एक्सपैंड. तो जो देन गवर्नमेंट थी उसने चेंज किया और एक नया लॉ लेके आए, दैट इज फॉरेन एक्सचेंज मैनेजमेंट एक्ट 1999। जो नया एक्ट था उसके बहुत सारे फीचर्स और बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंस है, थोड़ी सी अपन समझते हैं। Regulations for transactions. Foreign Exchange Management Act clearly lays down the regulations and the transactions that could happen between non-residents and residents. That is, it lays clear-cut resolutions on what transactions are permitted and what are not. Further, there are many investment restrictions upon investments in India by non-residents and overseas investments by Indian residents. Further, there are several current account transactions that are permissible and several capital account transactions which are permissible as per the law. Now we need to know FEMA applicable किस पे है. So FEMA basically extends to whole of India, including the Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir. Further, it also applies to all the branches, offices, and agencies located outside India which are controlled and owned by a person resident in India. ये जो इन्होंने एक लाइन ऐड करी ना, इससे ना सिर्फ इंडिया के अंदर फेमा की एप्लीकेबिलिटी इश्यू हो गई, बट इट ऑल्सो रेगुलेट्स ऑल द ब्रांचेस एंड ऑफिसेज विच आर ओन्ड एंड कंट्रोल्ड बाय रेसिडेंट्स इन इंडिया. ओवरसीज जो भी लोगों की ब्रांचेस है, फॉर एग्जांपल रिलायंस की कोई इंटरनेशनल कंपनी, रिलायंस की कोई ब्रांच है यूके में विच इज ओन्ड बाय रिलायंस, तो वो भी फेमा के अंडर कवर हो गई. और अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रावेंशन वो ब्रांच करती है तो इट विल ऑल्सो बी डेल्ट विद द प्रोविजंस ऑफ फेमा. Before going further, we need to understand several key words and definitions. First is NRI, a person who is citizen of India and is a normal resident in India. That means NRI is a person who is citizen of India plus he is not he resides outside India. The other thing is overseas citizen of India, that is OCI. OCI is a person who is registered under the Overseas Citizen of India card holder under Section 7A of the Citizenship Act 1955. We will get to know about OCI in the further slides. Person resident outside India, a person who is not a resident in India. A person resident in India is a person who has been residing in India for a period of more than 182 days during the preceding financial year, but does not include a person under certain specific categories. Those categories will be defined in further slides. Now we need to know some bank accounts which are available for NRIs in India. NRIs can't operate a normal current or savings account. They need to have some special bank account in order to get into transactions with the Indian original land. I will give a brief of them and they will be later explained by my friend. The first one is NRO account. NRO or the non-resident ordinary rupee account. As the name suggests, it is for managing the income earned in India. It can be used for local payments, transfer to other NRO accounts, and limited repatriation under specific conditions. The other one is NRE account or the non-resident external rupee account. Here also the name suggests very well. It is used for maintaining the funds outside India. It offers free repatriation of funds and tax-free interest income in India. The other one is FCNR or foreign currency non-resident account. Foreign currency accounts, it is used for term deposits. It offers repatriation benefits and tax-free interest income in India. The other one is SNRR account. That is special non-resident rupee account. It is for the NRIs that having any business income in India. It facilitates specific rupee transactions related to business activities. If we now move further, I will like to introduce to this scheme introduced by the government, that is LRS or the Liberalized Remittance Scheme. It is a scheme enacted in 2004 and it has been changed several times since then. It allows 250,000 USD per financial year, which would be remitted outside India for the permitted current and capital account transactions. It is applicable only for resident individuals. Mention that it is not for corporates, partnership firms, HUF trusts, etc. It will be detailed further. Discussion.
LRS इसमें आज की डिस्कशन में है क्या?
हाँ सर, बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट है क्योंकि हर ट्रांजेक्शन में LRS आ रहा है.
In non-resident India,
रिपैट्रिएशन में काम आएगा.
to send them.
Right. Now first we should know what is the criteria for determining NRI status. As per the act, अच्छा, right. So there's a difference between the FEMA Act and the Income Tax Act 1961, where the FEMA Act says that intention is what it matters. FEMA is concerned with the intention to stay in India, whereas income tax goes by the hard criteria of counting the days. हम सब पे काउंट कर रहे हैं यार इनकम टैक्स के क्वेश्चंस में डेज. तो FEMA कैसा आता है कि if we take an example, let's assume a person has left India for employment and he does not intends to stay in India or returns back to India in the near future because he has left, for example, for USA for some job or employment. तो FEMA उसको बिना कोई डेज काउंट करे उसको NRI स्टेटस दे देगा. Whereas for a person to be called NRI as per the Income Tax Act, you need to stay away from India for a period of more than 182 days in the preceding financial year. Moving further, now we should discuss the obligations for Indians going abroad. जो NRI status जो लोग gain करते हैं या persons Indian citizens who are relocating to abroad for job and work, the change in status brings several actions and considerations they need to take. First of all, there are several obligations upon the individuals who are changing their residential status. The first among them is to convert their bank accounts. The other, to inform the companies in which they are holding some shares or they are the shareholders of the company. Next, they need to update their financial institutions like bank, brokers, demat account holders about the change in residence. The other one is they need to handle their existing ongoing loans and need to convert them. Now we will discuss them in detail. First of all, we need to inform the companies in which we are a shareholder or we are the owners about the change in residence. For this, you should make a list of companies in which the person holds the investment. Next is to approach the company's registrar or company secretary for change in residence. Later, he should file a formal letter informing about the change in residential status. And he should take a continued follow-up क्योंकि आपको पता है इंडिया में काम ऐसे ही होता है. The next is updating financial accounts. You should update the broking houses about the change in residence. आपको म्यूचुअल फंड्स में आपका NRO और NRE अकाउंट जुड़वाना पड़ेगा. The next is आपको डीमेट अकाउंट अपना जो रेसिडेंस डीमेट अकाउंट जो अपन सब यूज करते हैं वो चेंज करा के NRE NRO डीमेट स्पेशल अकाउंट आपको लेना पड़ेगा. The other is आपको अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को पूरा रिव्यू करना पड़ेगा because some investments are repatriable, the other are not. The next is loan and overdraft facilities. इससे पहले मैं आपको एक टर्म बताना चाहूंगा. The term is authorized dealer या authorized banks. ये वो बैंक्स होते हैं जो RBI के regulations के according foreign exchange में deal कर सकते हैं. And for a person who is dealing in foreign exchange, it is necessary to engage with a foreign exchange or authorized dealer bank. So authorized dealer bank may allow continuance of loan and overdraft facilities for NRIs. Repayment can be made through inward remittances or legitimate resources in India. जब कोई NRI किसी का status transfer होता है, तो the bank and the person needs to restate or change the regulations or these terms because उसकी लोकेशन ना सिर्फ लोकेशन चेंज हो रही है बट वो जिस कंट्री में जा रहा है वो वहां से पैसा कितना पैसा अलाउ करेंगे, कितना आपकी कंटिन्यू जो लोन से उसका रीपेमेंट आएगा वो आपको चेंज करना पड़ता है. Next, the thing is foreign currency purchase for traveling abroad. जो foreign currency while we are traveling abroad, we need to get some foreign currency for making the payments over there. अपन किसी से भी नहीं खरीद सकते. You need to engage with an authorized dealer who could be a bank, money exchanger. So the cash payment, authorized dealers may accept cash payment below 50,000 rupees for foreign exchange deals. Anything above that can be dealt with a cross-check banker's pay order. Hard cash paying for exchanging money over 50,000 is strictly prohibited. Now we would discuss remittances for non-residents. There are several remittances which are allowed for non-residents and OCIs, including there are several types and limits which are imposed by the FEMA for such things. Types of remittances. There are several types of remittances which could be termed into current income, asset remittance, property sale proceeds, and student facilities. So coming to the remittance of current income, who is eligible to remit current income? It could be remit in the form of rent, dividend, pension, interest. For remitting such an amount, you need certification by a chartered accountant who certify the eligibility and tax compliance of such a transaction. Further, current income can be credited to non-resident external rupee account, which I just mentioned. Coming to asset remittance for foreign nationals and NRIs, OCIs, foreign nationals, retired foreign nationals can remit up to $1 million per year. But the same is not available for the residents of Nepal and Bhutan. And for NRIs and OCIs, they can remit up to $1 million annually from their NRO accounts on asset sale restrictions as per the act is applicable.
So what is NRO account?
Non-resident outside account.
कौन सी credits और debits are?
Sir, it will be explained further. Property sale remittances. Repatriation, NRI and OCI property अगर कोई, तो repatriation allowed for the acquisition amount up to 2 properties. आप 2 properties जितना अपना amount repatriate कर सकते हो अपनी country को back. Refers, for example, आप किसी transaction में आपने advance दिया कि you need to purchase some plot of land in a particular area in Delhi, for example, और वो transaction किसी basis पे cancel हो जाती है, तो आपको जो आपने advance amount दिया वो आप वापस ले जा सकते हो. Or loan repayments. Sale proceeds can be repayment to the extent of loan repayments. Now coming to student remittances facilities. क्योंकि इंडिया से एक बहुत बड़ा student base बाहर जाता है पढ़ने, so obviously they take a lot of money out और उन्हें transactions के लिए पैसा बहुत चाहिए होता है. So for their maintenance outside, their close relatives on self-declaration can send up to 1 lakh USD. Next for the study expenses, जो university demand कर रही है आप वो pay कर सकते हो, whether it is within the limit or not. And for asset sale, they are allowed to $1 million USD for their asset sale. Now coming forward to foreign exchange for travel and studies, for private visit, for example, अगर आप visit करने जा रहे हो किसी country को, तो you can remit up to 2,50,000 USD per financial year for various purposes, including private visits. Education cover expenses for students abroad under the NRS. And for medical treatment, आप कितना भी पैसा remit कर सकते हो for checkups abroad, and it is not only for you, but the person who is attending you. And for business travel, it is allowed for business trips, conferences, specialized trainings, etc. Now, how to spend money abroad? There are several ways you can spend money. Let's discuss the prominent ways. The first is international credit or debit cards. Authorized dealers, that is the person who is issuing you the card, can allow you to use the money up to the limit of $250,000 per financial year. For the foreign cards, residents can obtain cards from overseas banks with charges met from foreign currency accounts or remittances from India. Cash limit. आप वहाँ पे कितना cash लेके जा सकते हो? So for most of the countries, it is $3,000. But for countries like Iraq and Libya, क्योंकि वहाँ पे online payment system या फिर transactions इतने secure नहीं है, तो the government has allowed 5,000 USDs. And full LRS limit for Iran and CIS countries. क्योंकि ईरान में बहुत सारे restrictions है, वो SWIFT में भी part नहीं है, तो उनको पूरा $2.5 lakh तक cash ले जाना allowed है. The CIS countries are those which were formed when Soviet Union was break down. तो क्योंकि उनमें भी मतलब बहुत सारी कंट्रीज ने एक दूसरे के ऊपर रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगा रखे, फॉर एग्जांपल यूक्रेन इज द पार्ट ऑफ CIS कंट्री, तो उनमें भी आप $2.5 lakh तक कैश ले जा सकते हो. And there are several transactions and payments which are prohibited, तो आप उसको यूज नहीं कर सकते. Coming to the compliance and documentation for remittances, Form 15CB, शायद आप लोगों ने बहुतों ने पढ़ा भी होगा. तो Form 15CB is what a chartered accountant certifies as a tax compliance. और उसमें यूनिट जनरेट करना मैंडेटरी है और उसका पोस्ट फैक्टर RBI वो करता है, मॉनिटरिंग करता है. मतलब वो एक साथ बल्क उठा के उसको चेक करता है और जो आपके रेमिटेंसेस जा रहे हैं या आ रहे हैं वो एक सिंगल बैंक अकाउंट में जाने चाहिए. आप सिंगल पर्सन को अलग अलग बैंक अकाउंट में रेमिटेंस नहीं कर सकते. सो थैंक यू. Harsh will take up from this.
I will be explaining the part from NRI and returning to India. What are the obligations for NRI who are returning to India? So FEMA has very guided the obligations, and NRI needs to regulate the bank account and redesignate the NRE or NRO account which was opened earlier, and the same needs to be redesignated to resident accounts. And further, we will be discussing that NRE accounts, NRE bank accounts are given tax exemption benefit, and after the NRI returns to India, the same will be not be available and the same will be exhausted. Other than that, $1 million scheme will be converted to LRS scheme account. That is under $1 million scheme, the remittance, the repatriation allowed is $1 million. However, the same will be changed to USD 2,50,000. $1 million scheme would be discussed in detail by Anushka in further slides. Further, the foreign assets will be retained and managed just like it was done before by NRI. In addition to these, the rights and restrictions of residents as per FEMA will be vis-a-vis applicable on the NRI returning to India. Further, an intimation will be given to company in which an NRI is holding shares so that the company changes their shareholder type. Means they will change the resident type from NRI to resident. Now we will be studying the provisions for acquisition of property in India by NRI or OCI. So NRI or OCI can buy non-agricultural property from residents, NRI and OCIs. They cannot buy agricultural properties from NRIs and OCIs, but they can buy agricultural properties from residents. Further, NRIs and OCIs can receive non-agricultural property as gift from relatives. And NRIs and OCIs can inherit any immovable property from resident. However, they cannot inherit any agricultural immovable property from NRI or OCI. They need to inherit the same only from resident person. And the restriction is that NRI or OCI cannot buy agricultural land, farmhouses, or plantations from OCIs or any other person. Moving forward, we will be discussing property transfer rights, wherein NRI transfers the immovable property situated in India. So, if the property is situated to resident, NRI can transfer any property to the resident. There is no condition that it should be either agricultural property or non-agricultural property. If if the NRI is transferring the property to NRI or OCI, then he needs to transfer only non-agricultural property. That is other than agricultural land, plantation, farmhouse, etc. to NRI or OCI. Gift restrictions are that gift to resident is not restricted under section 24E. That is NRI or OCI can give any gift to relative who are resident in India, and that can be either agricultural property or non-agricultural property. There is no condition. However, if he's providing gift to NRI or OCI, then the same needs to be immovable property other than agricultural land. Moving further, the payment methods which NRI can use for acquisition of property is that they can use inward remittances, that is funds received from banking channels from outside India. They can also use NRI accounts, that is the funds which are stored in NRO, NED, SRR accounts. They can use that for acquisition of property. However, they cannot use traveler's check, foreign currency notes, or other modes which will be specified by notification by RBI, and there are as such no other modes which are specified, but the government has kept a provision for the same. So they cannot use traveler's check, foreign currency note for acquisition of property. There are some special cases which I will be discussing now for acquisition of property by NRI. The first case is regarding joint acquisition by spouse. So non-NRI spouse can jointly acquire only one immovable property other than agricultural land in India with NRI spouse. So an NRI spouse and non-NRI spouse both together can jointly acquire only one immovable property, but it should not be regarding agriculture. But the condition in this is that the marriage should be registered and the marriage should be continued for a period of minimum 2 years immediately preceding the year in the acquisition of such property. That is, if I am purchasing a property in 2024-2025 financial year, then the marriage of that person should be complete. 2 years should be completed by the end of financial year 2023 or 2024. And the second special case is regarding long-term visa holders. So let me explain what long-term visa is. So long-term visa is given to the person, minority community situated in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. So minority community there is Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, Parsis, Christians. So they are giving long-term visas. They are the citizens of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. They are given long-term visa of duration of 5 years so that they come in India and apply for citizenship in India. And their main motive is to shift in India. So if they come to India, the condition is that they can return to their home country only once during some calendar year, and the maximum tenure in which they can stay at their home country during LTV is that 90 days. And if they are going to visit a third country outside India or their home country, then there also they can only visit once during the LTV tenure, and maximum stay there too is 90 days. So if the long-term visa holders, in the case of long-term visa holders, they can purchase only one residential property and one commercial property in India for self-occupation and self-employment respectively. Moving forward, I will be discussing now repatriation and sale and what are the conditions regarding the sale. So if the non-agricultural property is sold, then repatriation is allowed. However, the condition is that the upper limit is two residential property for repatriation of non-agricultural land. If agricultural land is sold, then repatriation is not allowed. And the condition is that, as we have discussed earlier, the agricultural land can only be sold to residents. And in case the property is inherited, the repatriation is limited and it requires RBI permission beyond $1 million. Essential points for NRIs or OCIs buying or selling property in India. So, looking first at taxation and legal requirements, NRIs need PAN account so that they avoid tedious and they avoid living of tedious under section 206AA. That is 206AA of Income Tax Act. So it provides that the income tax needs to be levied of 20% or rate in force, whichever is higher, if an assessee does not have PAN number. So it is advisable for an NRI to have a PAN number of India. However, Aadhaar card is not compulsory in such case. So if NRI does not have Aadhaar number of India, then also he can buy or sell property in India. Further, he needs his physical presence during property registration. And if he is not available, then he can appoint someone through power of attorney. And looking forward to financial aspect and documentation, applicable taxes including GST needs to be paid on property purchases, and repatriation of rental income is allowed only after TDS deduction. Further, he needs to provide documentation during purchase and sale of immovable properties in India, which include passport, visa, work permit, income proof, etc. And other considerations are not discussed in forward slides. So in this we will be discussing restrictions and permissions during buying and selling. So prior RBI permission needs to be taken for individuals who are NRI, but they are a citizen from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, China, Iran, Nepal, or Bhutan. they need to take RBI approval to acquire or transfer any immovable property in India. However, an exception is that if he has taken lease which is less than 5 years, then there is no requirement of taking prior approval from RBI. And the RBI repatriation restriction is that individual who acquired property while residing in India or inherited it cannot repatriate sale proceeds without RBI permission except under $1 million scheme. And regarding agricultural land, we have already discussed this. So it says that NRIs and OCS can only transfer agricultural land, farmhouse, or plantation property to Indian citizens residing in India through gift or sale. Moving forward to gift, borrowing, and lending by NRI in foreign currency and Indian rupees. So regarding gifts involving NRIs, NRI to resident gift. NRI or OCI can give resident through NRO or NRE account. NRO and NRE account, I will be explaining this same in detail in the further slides. However, a brief was given by Gitansh, and regarding the same, NRI can give resident through NRO or NRE accounts, and he can also give resident cash, but the same should not exceed USD 2000 rupee, USD 2000. And if resident is gifting NRI, then resident can give up to dollars 2,50,000 per financial year to NRI under LRS scheme. And if monetary gift is being gifted by resident to NRI, then the same should go to NRO account only. Actually, NRO account is relating to all the income which is earned in India, and NRE is regarding all the income which is earned outside India. So NRE account taxation benefit is given and no taxation is levied on the same. And in NRO account, taxation is levied as the same is earned in India. So as gift is being given from resident to NRI, so in this case, taxation under income tax can be applicable under the 56(2)(10) of Income Tax Act. So the same should only be remitted to NRO. And property gift, we have already discussed the same during the acquisition and sale of property. And I will brief it again that NRI or OCI can give only non-agricultural immovable property to NRI residents or OCI. And if he is gifting to resident, then he can also gift agricultural immovable property. And if he is receiving any property, then from resident he can receive any type of immovable property. But from non-resident NRI or OCI, he can only receive non-agricultural immovable property in India. Moving forward to borrowings from outside Indian foreign exchange by resident. This does not talk about non-resident, but about residents in India. So residents in India can borrow through external commercial borrowings, and eligible resident can raise ECB from outside India, and that can be in Indian rupees or foreign currency, whichever the eligible entity needs. And he can also raise trade credit under FEMA, and it can for capital and non-capital goods both. And it can also borrow individually up to $250,000 from relatives abroad. And students can also borrow the same amount for education fees and maintenance. The same was covered by Gitansh earlier. And regarding financial institutions, they can also borrow from financial institutions which are set up by RBI. Now we are moving forward to lending in foreign exchange and Indian rupees by resident. This slide also covers provision for resident and not NRIs. So just like borrowings, in lending also, the NRIs can dominate ECB. Instead of ECB, now it would be ECL, that is external commercial lending to borrowers outside India. So this allows Indian entities to participate in international lending markets. Further, it can allow rupee lending. So registered NBFCs and housing financial institutions who are eligible to provide loan outside India and give loans either in Indian rupees or foreign currency to a person residing outside India. And restriction is that all the borrowers must ensure that borrowed funds are not used for restricted end use. So what could be restricted end use? That if the loan is taken, the loan is not means relending of loan is not practiced, or agricultural property is not purchased from that loan, or real estate commercial property is not purchased from that loan. So these are the restrictions. Now we will be discussing bank accounts for NRIs. As already briefed earlier, there are mainly four types of bank accounts. That is NRO account, NRE account, foreign currency FCNR account and SMRR account. So NRO account is non-resident ordinary rupee account. इसमें ये होता है कि जो इंडिया में इनकम जनरेट होती है वो एनआरओ अकाउंट में आएगी और ये इन रुपीज ही होती है, मेंटेन इन रुपीज होती है. और एनआरई अकाउंट इज नॉन रेजिडेंट एक्सटर्नल रुपी अकाउंट and for FCNR is foreign currency non-resident account and SNRR is special non-resident rupee account. Now we will be discussing in detail for all the bank accounts. So in NRO account, the features are that all the income generated in India become part of this NRO account, and this is maintained in Indian rupees only, and it can be in any type of nature. That is, it can be saving account or current account or recurring account or fixed deposit. And this is purely for bona fide transaction in Indian rupees. And the credits allowed in this NRO account is that legitimate dues in India. Example, rent, trade receivable. Suppose I have a property, I am an NRI and I have a property in India and I am providing rent. So that will be credited in NRO account. And other than that, remittances from abroad, transfers from other NRO accounts, and sale proceeds of assets acquired in India. And the debits allowed in NRO account is that local payments in India can be made through NRO account, transfers to NRE or foreign accounts, and that is current rate, dividend, pension, interest, etc. earned in India by submitting Form 15CA and Form 15CB, and the amount and
इसमें क्रेडिट्स के अंदर जैसे आप कह रहे हो कि पहले जो आपने बोला कि केवल जो इनकम्स है इंडियन इनकम कैन बी क्रेडिटेड इन दी एनआरओ अकाउंट. तो ये रेमिटेंस फ्रॉम अब्रॉड भी अगर कोई अब्रॉड से तो बाहर से तो कोई डॉलर में या मतलब फॉरेन एक्सचेंज में आएगी रेमिटेंस तो वो इसमें
वो तो उस केस में हो जाएगा जिसमें अगर कोई एनआरआई रेंट ले रहा होगा और वो एनआरआई फिर अगर डॉलर्स में पेमेंट कर रहा होगा तो वो इंडियन रुपीस में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा और वो एनआरओ अकाउंट में मतलब ये जो इनकम है वो इंडिया में जनरेट हो रही है ना, तो
इंडिया में जनरेट हो रही है, पैसा आपको बाहर से आ रहा है, ऐसा कुछ है.
हाँ,
रेमिटेंस फ्रॉम अब्रॉड
मतलब जो इनकम जनरेशन हो रही है वो तो इंडिया की इनकम हो गई, तो टैक्सेबिलिटी की जो रहेगी लायबिलिटी वो इंडिया के पास ही रहेगी.
मतलब ये किसी कोई बाहर की कोई इनकम को क्रेडिट करने की बात नहीं कह रहा है.
हाँ, ये इंडिया की इनकम जो रहेगी.
इसी तरीके का कोई रेमिटेंस आ रहा है तो उसकी बात है.
हाँ.
डेबिट्स.
Regarding debits of NRO account, any local payment in India can be made through NRO account. And other than that, transfer to NRE or foreign accounts can be made. And that could be in form of current rent, dividend, pension, interest, etc. earned in India. And that can be only done after submitting Form 15CA and Form 15CB. And this will be covered in the further part of the slides by Anushka. And transfers to other NRO accounts can also be made from one NRO account. And regarding repatriation, it is given in FEMA that limited repatriation of funds under specified conditions can be made, and that is regarding that is subject to $1 million scheme.
तो डेबिट्स का मतलब यहाँ ये हो गया कि जो ट्रांसफर टू एनआरई फॉरेन अकाउंट्स, फॉरेन अकाउंट्स मींस व्हाट, बाहर कोई अकाउंट है उसमें भी ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं एनआरई अकाउंट से,
कर सकते हैं,
या केवल एनआरई अकाउंट से ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं.
एनआरओ अकाउंट बाहर जो है उसमें भी कर सकते हैं, या फिर किसी को पेमेंट करना हो
नहीं, मेरा कोई इंडोनेशिया की बैंक में अकाउंट है तो वहाँ पेमेंट हो सकता है एनआरओ अकाउंट से.
डेबिट तो हो सकता है लेकिन क्रेडिट नहीं हो सकता.
हाँ, डेबिट की बात करो. रिपाट्रिएशन.
Regarding repatriation, it is given that limited repatriation of funds is allowed subject to the $1 million scheme. So $1 million scheme says that only during a financial year, $1 million is allowed to be remitted. So subject to that, repatriation can be done. And in detail regarding the $1 million scheme, the same will be explained further. Moving forward to NRE and FCNR accounts. So NRE is non-resident external rupee account. So if any income is generated outside India, that is in other foreign countries, and the same is transferred, and the same needs to be transferred in India, so that can be done through NRE accounts. And
क्या नींद आ रही है सर को? नहीं सर, ऐसे ही लग रहा है। जिम जाकर है, जिम जाकर रात को जागरण कर रहा था क्या? हाँ सर।
NRE account is also maintained in Indian rupees, just like NRI.
एक participants है, CA Sasikanth. So he wants to. Yes sir.
Very good morning, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question regarding last slide in which we have discussed about the NR account feature and operation repartition. This one. Hello. Hello.
सर एक
Hello.
बार वापस बोलेंगे?
सर एक लास्ट स्लाइड हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे रिगार्डिंग क्रेडिट डेबिट एंड रिपार्टीशन. कैन यू हियर मी?
Yes sir, yes.
Yeah, वो just last slide we have discussed regarding NRO accounts, credit, debit and repartition. This one,
Yes.
right? Sir, I have just a little doubt. There have a repartition column. We mentioned that we can remit up to $1 million scheme in current income and balance. हम $1 million
Current
तक
income and
करंट इनकम एंड बैलेंस हम $1 million तक रिपार्टीशन कर सकते हैं. तो जो लिवराइज स्कीम LRS स्कीम है वहाँ पे
NRI के लिए $1 million स्कीम अलग से है.
ओके.
So that will be further explained by our speakers in later slides. तो ये actually ये कह रहे हैं कि NRI जो है NRO अकाउंट के थ्रू डेबिट और क्रेडिट तो ये चीजें हो सकती है. और उसके अलावा इनको जो पूरा बाहर पैसा भेजना है,
हाँ जी,
है ना, एक तो लोकल इंडिया में पेमेंट्स आप कर सकते हो, और जो वो बाहर पैसा भेजना है तो उसके लिए $1 million स्कीम को फॉलो करते हुए पैसा भेज सकते हो.
एनआरआई के लिए $1 million है, और अदर देन जो LRS स्कीम है वो सबको परमिट करती है $2.5 लाख भेजने के लिए.
नहीं सर, LRS स्कीम को आप इस $1 million स्कीम से मिक्स नहीं करें.
Okay.
LRS scheme is only for the residents.
Oh.
Resident Indians. And that is for individuals. Whereas this $1 million scheme is for NRIs only.
Okay. Got your point, sir. Thank you so much.
So now moving forward to NRE and FCNR accounts. So NRE is non-resident external rupee account, and this account is for income which is earned outside India, that is in other foreign countries. If I am earning any income in US or Dubai, and if I want to remit the same to India, then NRE account comes into picture. And NRE account is also maintained in Indian rupees, just like NRO account. And in this case, if any amount which is coming, say US dollar is being remitted to India, so the same will be converted by authorized dealer into Indian rupees. And it could also be in any nature, that is saving, current, or recurring, or FD. And regarding FCNR accounts, these are foreign currency non-resident account, and these are only fixed deposits if NRI needs to do wishes to do the same in India. If NRI wishes to do any fixed deposit in India, then he can deposit the same in FCNR accounts, and its tenure is for minimum 1 year and it could be for maximum 5 years. However, in FCNR accounts, the amount is maintained in foreign currency and not in Indian rupees. And as explained in this slide, fund transfer can be done in both NRE and FCNR accounts. That is, you can freely transfer funds into your NRE or FCNR account from your overseas bank accounts. And other than that, any amount which is lying in NRE or FCNRE account can be utilized for funds in NRE or FCNR account for investment in India or local expense also. And other than that, repatriation can also be performed without any restriction. Now let's have a detailed comparison between NRE, NRO, FCNR, and SNRR account. Let me give a brief about SNRR account. These are special non-resident rupee account, and these are opened by. This account is also maintained in Indian rupees. This is opened by NRI if he is having any business interest in India, and it is a non-interest bearing account. And regarding credit and debit being done in as an RR account, any business related expenses or any business related income can be credited or debited respectively in SNRR account. And other than that, there is the LRS transaction. LRS scheme is not applicable in this. That is, it is an exception to LRS, and transfer from NRO is prohibited into SNRR account. That is, any funds lying in NRO account cannot be transferred to SNRR account. Now let's have a comparative look in these four accounts. For eligibility, in NRE account, NRI and OCS are eligible. However, in NRO account, any person resident outside India is eligible. And for FCNR account, any person resident outside India is eligible. And for SNRR account, any person resident outside India having a business interest in India is eligible. And the currency which is used in NRE, NRO, FCNR, and SNRR account are that Indian rupees is being used in NRE, NRO, and SNRR account as discussed, and foreign currency which is freely convertible into Indian rupees without any restrictions being imposed is allowed in FCNR account. And about repatriability, it says that NRE account, FCNR account, and SNRR account are repatriable. However, NRO account is not repatriable except for condition current income up to USD $1 million per financial year. And about taxability, as discussed earlier, NRE account and FCNR account are completely exempt from tax to be levied in India. However, NRO account and SNRR account are taxable. Moving forward, now we will be discussing some transactions and loans for NRE, NRO, and FCNR and SNRR accounts. So permissible credits include inward remittances from outside India and NRE accounts, interest earned on the account if the same is being saving or FD account, and transfers from other NRE or FCNR accounts. But transfer from NRO account is not allowed in case of NRE account as well, and loans can be sanctioned against deposits for specific purpose like personal use, business activity. However, the same should not be for real estate or agricultural land purchase, and investment in India can be made. Regarding NRO account, credits are allowed on inward remittances, transfers from other NRO accounts and current income like rent, dividend, etc. And debits are permitted for local payment, transfers to other NRO accounts, and remittance of current income abroad. And loan against deposit can be granted. However, the same cannot be used for re-lending, agricultural activities, or investment in India, as earlier discussed during a loan that can be taken by another. And regarding FCNR account, it offers flexibility in terms of currency and tenure. And FCNR account has the same conditions as NRE account regarding permissible credits, debits, and loans in India as NRE account. And regarding SNRR account, it completely caters and specifically allows only business transactions in India, thereby allowing debit or credit related to the same only. Now we will be discussing some foreign bank accounts for residents of India. And foreign accounts for residents of India is exchange earners foreign currency account, and second is resident foreign currency domestic account, and third one is resident foreign currency account. So the first one EFC account is
या तो नेट से चल रहा है
अब यही चल रहा है
इसके इसकी डिस्प्ले ऑलरेडी चल रहा है
इसको टाइप करो
हाँ नेट तो आ रहा है या तो उसका नेट नहीं चल रहा चल तो रहा है
आ गया
सब और चेंज हुई चेंज हो गई सब
लेकिन स्लाइड नहीं आ रही वो आ रहा
लैग आ रहा है ठीक है
है क्या बोलते हैं लैग
टाइम के बाद आता है उसका
नहीं वाले पहले स्लाइड आप स्लाइड्स को आ गई ठीक है
अभी आ गया 3 main types of foreign. So there are 3 types of foreign bank accounts. Main types are 3, and the first one is exchange earner foreign currency account. Second one is resident foreign currency domestic account, and third one is resident foreign currency account. So in EFC account, this account has been designed specifically for individuals and entity which are engaged in international trade, and means they are engaged in export and import. And this account is used for receiving export proceeds, professional fees, and making import payments. And this is specifically a current account. And regarding resident foreign currency domestic account, it allows resident individual to hold foreign currency acquired from overseas sources such as currency notes, bank notes, and traveler's stay. And it is a type of repository as everything is being holded in this account. And the third one is resident foreign currency account. And this enables resident individual to return foreign exchange received from specific sources, including superannuation benefits, asset conversion, gifts, inheritances, and earnings from overseas employment. And this account offers great flexibility in managing foreign currency acquired through permitted channels. Now, just like as we have discussed difference between the 4 accounts of NRI, now we will be discussing key differences in these 3 accounts. And account type for EEFC account and RFC domestic account is current. However, normal RFC account can either be current, savings, or term deposit. And regarding interest, EEFC is a non-interest earning account, and RFC domestic also non-interest earning account, as both are current accounts. However, if REC is an saving account or term deposit account, then the same is interest regarding interest earning account. However, it is deregulated by authorized dealer banks, and the same is limited to RBI restrictions. And regarding credits, EEFC account Credits allowed in EEFC account are export proceeds, professional fees, advance remittances, loan repayment, and disinvestment proceeds outside India. And in case of RFC domestic account, permitted credits are foreign exchange in form of currency notes, bank notes, and traveler checks from overseas sources, just discussed in last slide. And in case of RFC account, superannuation, asset conversion proceeds, gifts, inheritances, earning from overseas employment, LIC claim maturity, and balances in NRE or FC accounts on change of residential status. Suppose if an NRI comes into India and he wants to change his residential status and he becomes resident in India again, then he will have to transfer all his NRE or FCNR account balance to RFC account. Now we will be discussing about other foreign currency accounts which can be used for specific purposes. The first account is regarding diamond industry, and this account is known as diamond dollar account. And this is specifically for firms and companies which are engaged in diamond industry to handle export proceeds and local sales in US dollars. And this is used for pre and post shipment financing. And the second,
तो डायमंड वाला कोई दूसरा अकाउंट यूज नहीं कर सकता है या दूसरा भी कर सकता है या अलग से
ये रेसिडेंट्स के लिए और इन लोगों को स्पेसिफिकली ये यूज करना पड़ता है अगर डायमंड में डीलिंग
if they are dealing in the diamond then they cannot use that normal जो पहले आपने बताया था foreign
for all the diamond related transaction they need to use diamond dollar account.
so they cannot use exchange earner ऐसा
Exchange earner अगर कोई दूसरा transaction
other
than
for diamond they have to use this one
yes yes
चलिए स्पेसिफिकली वो डायमंड बोर्ड्स के लिए बनाया है, पूरा डायमंड बोर्ड्स का
मतलब अगर डायमंड रिलेटेड एक्सपोर्ट वगैरह कुछ हो रहा है या उसके रिलेटेड कुछ भी एक्सपेंसेस है तो इसके थ्रू होगा और अगर कुछ अदर एक्सपेंसेस है तो फिर या फिर अदर क्रेडिट्स है तो वो दूसरा अकाउंट यूज कर सकते हैं. And the second one is regarding project offices of foreign companies. So suppose a construction company in Dubai gets a project to build build a building in India, and it comes in India for construction of that building. Then non-interest bearing one or more currency accounts can be opened by them, and it manages all the project related expense in foreign currency for project to be executed in India. So first they will have to take permission from RBI regarding the same, and all the documentation needs to be submitted. For example, the project contract needs to be submitted for opening of this account, and each project has only each project can only have one foreign currency account which needs to be closed at completion of project. So as soon as the project gets completed, the this account needs to be closed immediately. And the third is regarding organizers.
ये किसी बाहर वाली कंपनी के लिए this is not for नॉन रेजिडेंट इंडियन और एनी रेजिडेंट्स
ये जो सेकंड वाला था वो फॉरेन
इट इज फॉर फॉरेन कंपनी
अगर फॉरेन कंपनी कोई प्रोजेक्ट के लिए आ रही है तो उनको एक अलग सा अकाउंट बनाना पड़ेगा और आगे से. And third one is regarding organizers of international event. This could be for anyone, whether
Like-
he is a resident
like
or
Coldplay
like Coldplay is just a band and organizer event is someone else. Coldplay में तो Zomato है.
इंटरनेशनल इवेंट तो है ना वो
सर उसमें जो इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज करा रहे हो वो
जो इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज करा रहा है उसको बनाना पड़ेगा.
लेके किसी को Coldplay की टिकट ये वाले स्टूडेंट Coldplay की टिकट
सब 50,000 की लाइन में था.
क्या है इसमें
तो जो इंटरनेशनल इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज हो रहा है तो उसके लिए स्पेसिफिकली बनाते हैं. जैसे ऊपर प्रोजेक्ट ऑफिस प्रोजेक्ट जो था वो प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीशन के लिए जो बनाते हैं अकाउंट वैसे कॉन्फ्रेंस इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स के लिए भी ये अकाउंट बनाते हैं. और जैसे ही इंटरनेशनल इवेंट जो है वो खत्म हो जाता है ये अकाउंट भी इमीडिएट बेसिस पे क्लोज हो जाता है. तो ये एक टेम्पररी अकाउंट है फॉर हैंडलिंग फॉरेन करेंसी रिसिप्ट्स एंड पेमेंट रिलेटेड टू इंटरनेशनल सेमिनार्स कॉन्फ्रेंसेस एंड कन्वेंशंस. Now Anushka will be continuing the further part.
Now, the next part is investment in portfolio mutual fund shares and debentures in India by non-resident Indians. This topic addresses the regulatory framework for NRIs who are seeking to invest in India. Under FEMA, the three schedules, Schedule 3 covers purchase and sale of shares, convertible debentures on repatriable and non-repatriable basis. Schedule 4 covers purchase and sale of shares and convertible debentures on non-repatriable basis.
What is repatriable basis, non-repatriable?
That will be covered. Hmm.
ये बार repatriable और non-repatriable बोल रही है ना, तो ये पहले एक भी बोल रहा था, तो किसी ने पूछा नहीं, थोड़ा पता था फिर
यहाँ पे origin
है
तो पैसे का origin हुआ है यहाँ पे
क्या?
I mean यहाँ पे उस income का origin हुआ है आप उसको वापस देना है उसे back के
वहाँ पे ले जाना या कहीं और भी बेच सकते हैं, अभी ये बताएंगे.
And Schedule 5 covers purchase, sale of securities other than shares and convertible debentures by individuals residing outside India. Now, there are two kinds of investment options, repatriable and non-repatriable. Repatriable means NRIs can invest in mutual fund, shares and debentures, and profit and capital can be taken outside India. And NRIs can use NRE account, FCNR account, or foreign exchange remittance through normal banking channels. Non-repatriable investment means NRI can invest, but funds must remain in India. And NRIs can use NRO account or locally earn money for the same. Now, what are the compliance requirements? Designated bank branch. One bank branch must be designated for all the investments. Delivery-based transaction. It says that speculative transactions are prohibited. So NRIs must invest and the investment should be delivery-based. Investment ceilings. NRIs cannot invest like whatever the percentage they want. There is a certain ceiling limit, like 5% of paid up equity shares of Indian companies. They can invest up to that limit only. KYC compliance. NRI is required to have complete KYC compliance through their designated bank branch. Now, what is designated depository participant? These are the entities which are authorized by RBI or SEBI to facilitate the holding and trading of securities for NRIs. They assist NRI by managing their KYC documentation and regulatory compliances. Income tax obligations. NRIs investing in India are required to pay income tax on investment income, including dividend, interest, and capital gains. And they are also required to file returns annually. Investment in shares and debentures. NRIs can invest in shares and debentures, but there are certain restrictions, like they cannot invest in chit funds. They are also not allowed to invest in nidhi companies, and they are also not allowed to invest in companies engaged in agriculture and plantation activities. Forms for outward remittances from India. Form 13 and Form 10F, which will be discussed in detail in next slides. Now LRS. It is already explained by Gitansh. So let me again brief. It is what is LRS? LRS is a way for remittance outside India. It is a way through which Indian residents can send money abroad. All resident individuals, only resident individuals including minors, can remit amount up to $2,50,000 per financial year for permissible current and capital account transactions. For LRS, a certificate in Form 15 CB is required to be attested by a chartered accountant. And this scheme is not available for corporates, partnership firms, trusts, etc. And LRS cannot be used for purchasing lottery tickets outside India. Permissible uses of LRS. LRS can be used for gift or donation, for going abroad for employment, or for maintenance of close relative abroad, studies abroad, acquiring assets abroad. Individuals can open, maintain, and hold foreign currency account in banks outside India and for making remittances under LRS without prior approval of RBI. The scheme is not available for remittances to countries identified by Financial Action Task Force (FATF) as non-cooperative countries. Anybody knows any country which is non-cooperative country identified by FATF? Iran. Iran. India. 3 countries are identified. Iran, North Korea, and Myanmar. And there are other countries which is in screening, in continuous screening by, and these can also be like Croatia. Croatia is a country and which can also be declared as a non-cooperative country. Now, $1 million scheme for NRIs and OCIs. And a NRI and overseas citizen of India. Overseas citizen of India is a person who is a person of Indian origin, like whose grandfathers or parents are born in India, but who is born in outside India, and they are given indefinite period to stay in India. They are given OCI certificate, like they can come in India and study and do employment in India for indefinite period. So a NRI or OCI may remit an amount up to $1 million, that is $10 lakh per financial year out of balances in NRO account or sale proceeds from sale of asset. Now, Form 10F. 10F is used by residents of foreign country to declare their tax residency in India. It is used for claiming DTAA benefit, double taxation avoidance agreement का benefit लेने के लिए Form 10F is used. And it must be submitted to tax authorities in India. Form 13. Form 13 can be filed by a person by a non-resident for claiming lower deduction of tax or no deduction of tax. And this application is to be made in Form 13 online by logging into Traces portal of income tax. Form 15 CA and CB. Income Tax Act makes it compulsory to deduct income tax from payment made to non-residents under Section 195. The person making payment remittance to non-residents holds responsibility to furnish an undertaking in Form 15 CA. So the person who is remitting money to non-residents make an declaration in Form 15 CA, and the same is attested by a chartered account in Form 15 CB. Form 15 CB is a certificate issued by chartered accountant certifying tax deduction at source, applicability, and tedious liability on foreign remittance. Now, Form 15C and CB are not applicable in all kinds of remittances. To ease small transactions, the department has provided certain exemptions for filing 15CA and CB. Form 15CB is required. Form 15CB, which is required for which is attested by the person who is remitting money. So Form 15CB is required when the aggregate remittance in the whole financial year does not exceed 5 lakh rupees, then the Form 15CB is not required. The Form 15CA is divided into 4 parts. Part A is applicable for remittance that are taxable and aggregate amount does not exceed 5 lakh rupees. Part B is applicable when aggregate amount exceed 5 lakh and Form 13 for lower deduction of tax or no deduction of tax is obtained. Part C is applicable when aggregate amount is more than 5 lakh and Form 15CB has been obtained. Part D is applicable when remittance is not taxable.
नहीं, इसमें ये एक सर का कमेंट आया है, इवन एनआरआई also required to 1 minute. What did you come? Even NRI required Form 15CA CB for remittance outside. But clarify.
Yes, sir, that's true. Please, yes. Form A2. Form A2 is filed for foreign exchange remittance other than imports and intermediary trade. This is required to be filed for. This is also required to be filed for NRS. It instructs authorized dealer bank to remit amount to NRE or foreign bank of an individual. FEMA declaration, NRI fund transfer. NRI who wishes to transfer from NRO to NRE account or foreign bank account must provide details of applicant, remittance amount, source of fund, amount declaration, that remittance is eligible for repatriation under Foreign Exchange Management Act. Thank you so much.
Mic is on.
Hello, yeah. So हमने जाना आज NRIs के बारे में कि NRIs किस तरीके की ट्रांजेक्शंस जो है वो कर सकते हैं. नॉट ओनली दैट, बीच में जो LRS स्कीम है जिसके तहत रेजिडेंट्स कैसे बाहर पैसा भेज सकते हैं, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं बाहर जिसको भी भेजते हैं वो किसी न किसी NRI से अटैच होते होंगे. तो क्योंकि ये अपना जो सब्जेक्ट था, राइट्स एंड प्रिविलेजेस, obligations and privileges of the NRIs. तो of course क्योंकि उनके लिए एक privileges है कि यहाँ से कोई residents जो है वो बाहर पैसा कैसे भेज सकते हैं. So that has also been discussed by them, and then obligations have also been discussed by them. खासकर कि जो फॉर्म्स फाइल करने होते हैं, और कुछ ऑब्लिगेशंस बहुत ही रिलेवेंट हैं. जैसे मान लीजिए कि कोई नॉन रेजिडेंट है, वो वापस आके रेजिडेंट बन जाता है और उसके कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं, तो उनको रेस्पेक्टिव जो भी कंपनीज हैं उनको इन्फॉर्म करना चाहिए कि साहब अब मैं रेजिडेंट हो गया हूं, ताकि जो भी टीडीएस से रिलेटेड प्रोविजंस हैं, उसके डिविडेंड से रिलेटेड पेमेंट्स हैं, उस वक्त वो सारी कंपनीज जो हैं वो अकॉर्डिंगली अपनी कंप्लायंस प्रॉपर तरीके से कर सके और किसी तरीके का प्रॉब्लम एनआरआई को नहीं हो. तो जब भी हम किसी भी इस तरीके के ट्रांजेक्शंस को देखते हैं, जैसे एक फॉरेन कंपनी का भी इन्होंने बताया कि फॉरेन कंपनी अकाउंट के अंदर भी जो है
टर्म डिपॉजिट्स वाला होता है.
यस, एफसीएनआर, जो
टर्म डिपॉजिट्स,
या टर्म डिपॉजिट से रिलेटेड दे कैन डू. एंड देन जो प्रोजेक्ट ऑफिस ऑफ फॉरेन कंपनीज, उससे रिलेटेड भी इसमें इन्होंने बताया कि सब कोई भी कंपनी अगर बाहर आकर के बाहर की कंपनी और यहाँ प्रोजेक्ट ऑफिस है तो उसके लिए भी उसको एक अलग से अकाउंट खोलना होगा और जब भी वो प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट होगा देन दैट अकाउंट विल बी क्लोज. सो वी नीड टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल. और ये सारी चीजें क्यों है ताकि जैसे डायमंड डॉलर की अपन बात कर रहे थे कि उसको स्पेसिफिक की डायमंड से रिलेटेड किस तरीके के ट्रांजेक्शन हो रहे हैं. तो जो भी डायमंड से रिलेटेड ट्रेडर्स हैं या जो इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं तो दे नीड टू ओपन ए डायमंड डॉलर स्कीम अकाउंट सेपरेटली. जो नॉर्मल जो अकाउंट है उसके तहत वो नहीं चलेगा. डायमंड डॉलर स्कीम के तहत उनको इंपोर्ट और एक्सपोर्ट करना होगा. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट ये एक स्पेसिफिक सेगमेंट है. तो जब कभी भी हम इन तरीके के ट्रांजेक्शन्स को देखें चाहे वो आपके ऑडिट से रिलेटेड हैं आपकी किसी किसी का ऑडिट करो वहां पे इस तरीके के अकाउंट है तो इमीडिएटली आपको क्लिक होना चाहिए कि अरे यार इससे रिलेटेड तो कुछ सेपरेट अकाउंट है. ऐसा हो सकता है नहीं हो सकता है. इतना सा क्लिक होगा तो देन यू विल बी एबल टू रीच टू द कंक्लूजन. और आपने एक सिंपल उसको परचेज सेल्स मान लिया और आपने ये देख लिया कि सर ठीक है इसकी अकाउंटिंग एंट्री ओके है तो पता चला कि जो रेलेवेंट कंप्लायंसेस उससे रिलेटेड होनी है वो नहीं है. तो यू शुड हैव ये क्लास का पर्पस इतना ही है कि जो ही आप कोई फॉरेन करेंसी ट्रांजेक्शंस देखो तो आपको क्लिक होना चाहिए कि नहीं यार फेमा को डील करने के लिए तो अलग से लॉज और हैं तो हमें ये देखना चाहिए कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि इस अकाउंट में पैसा ये वाला पैसा जैसे मान लो सेल ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी का पैसा है इंडिया में तो वो एनआरई अकाउंट में नहीं जा सकता है ना. तो वैसे तो बैंक ही उसको मना कर देगी बट एट द सेम टाइम वी शुड ऑल्सो सी कि साहब उसका जो पैसा है वो एनआरओ अकाउंट में ही गया है जहां जाना चाहिए वहीं गया. सिमिलरली पेमेंट्स अगर है तो वो भी आपको प्रॉपर तरीके से वेरीफाई करना चाहिए कि जहां इसकी डेबिट्स हो सकती है पर्टिकुलर अकाउंट में जो जो डेबिट्स हो सकती है वही डेबिट हो वो डेबिट उसमें नहीं आ रही है. तो ये सब चीजें हैं. हमारे साथ सीए शशि पाल जी भी आज पूरे टाइम जुड़े रहे हैं. शशि जी आप चाहेंगे कुछ हमारे जो सीए फाइनलिस्ट स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनको अप्रिसिएशन में कुछ कहना चाहेंगे. हेलो इधर आवाज आ रही है. इधर आवाज आ रही है.
हेलो हेलो.
यस शशिकांत जी. यस शशिकांत जी.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a important topic discussion. Actually,
एक मिनट होल्ड करें सर. एक मिनट होल्ड करें उसको बंद किया. यस सर.
because सर लास्ट डेट नज़दीक आ रही है इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न्स की और थोड़ा प्रेशर रहता है इस टाइम हम लोगों पे. और इतना इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है ये एनआरए अकाउंट जो हम लोग कई बार स्किप कर जाते हैं ड्यू टू ऑडिट इनकम टैक्स एंड रिटर्न. बट इस आप लोगों ने टाइम निकाला इस टॉपिक के लिए और बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया बच्चों ने. आई रियली अप्रिशिएट दिस.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yes. So here we conclude today's class. Now we will have the quiz.